Come to the UK at the moment do come to London. We want them to get out and see the treasures that we've got outside.
Well, joining me is Roy Graff, a consultant from China Business Service. Now, first of all, the Olympics, Roy. What did the Chinese tourists make of their experience over here for the Olympics, do you think?
I think the Olympics was watched pretty avidly in China. I mean, since 2008, with the Beijing show being what it was, they became much more interested in sports. And I think the build-up to the Olympics made Britain also a focus. So overall, they were very happy to watch it. I think they also, from what I've read in Chinese media, were very positive about the execution here. Yeah.
So how important is China to British tourism, do you think?
Well, in terms of global context, China is important to the global tourism industry, very important. There's about 80 million Chinese tourists that will travel abroad this year, although the majority of those will stay within Southeast Asia. Over in Southeast Asia, you can already see the impact. I mean, Chinese are the most important tourists to most of the economies there. When it comes to the UK, at the moment, we're not talking about very big numbers. I think last year about 160,000 Chinese. It actually dropped during the economic recession. We have challenges around visa and around the fact that in the past the budget of Visit Britain, the tourism promotion body, has been cut. I'm glad that today Jeremy Hunt announced that it will actually be increased again. So
the visa problem, that is essentially that Chinese people find it much easier to come here as a group rather than an individual visa basis.
Well, in fact, the only tourist visa available to them is a group visa. So they have to apply through a travel agent in China. They have to then work with a local authorized tour operator in the UK, so only groups of minimum 5 people can travel. So for individuals, it's still very difficult. They need to either have a sponsor here if it's a personal visit or a business reason to go.
So what should we be doing to try to lure more Chinese people here? What kind of things do perhaps hotels need to be doing differently, restaurants need to be doing differently?
Well, on the government side, the visa issue would be the biggest single benefit in terms of how we can quickly grow the numbers. I think also we should not really focus on the total numbers, but really understand how much the Chinese spend, especially the wealthy Chinese, and try to lure them in with our high-quality tourism attractions and service. What hotels can be doing in that respect is trying to offer more amenities that Chinese would expect in hotels. This is available online, but generally speaking, whether it's food items that Chinese like or tea kettles to boil water for tea in the rooms, toiletries that they expect complimentary, again, because this is what they're used to in their domestic hospitality sector. When it comes to attractions, destinations, localizing in the right way in Mandarin Chinese and in simplified Chinese in terms of the written form would be obviously a step in the right direction, getting more Chinese speaking guides qualified for Blue Badge, things like that.
So we should definitely be teaching our children to speak Mandarin then?
Well, I will be teaching mine.
When they're here, what do Chinese people spend their money on? Is it possible to sort of characterize where this money goes? This
is actually an area where they're very different from how other tourists behave. Many tourists from the West would like to stay in nice hotels, to spend money at nice restaurants, pamper themselves. Whereas Chinese would prefer to spend the money on tangible assets, on shopping, on jewelry, fashion, things like that, watches. And that is how they are quite different. And I think that our retail industry is very keen to tap into that market. One of the things that can be doing, and many department stores in the UK are already doing, is accepting the Chinese credit cards, which are called China Union Pay cards.
Brilliant. Well, there I'm afraid we must leave it. Roy Graff, consultant from China Business Service, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, Roy mentioned the Chinese interest in fashion, and one of the most influential names in women's magazines.